In the current volatile geopolitical backdrop, is there any doubt left that the Pakistan army orchestrated this attack? Why strike now, right when the US Vice President is visiting India? Coincidence or deliberate signaling? Is the objective only to disrupt Kashmir's rise, or could there be the involvement of foreign power with any clear indicators? Given the Pakistan Army's deep understanding of the likely repercussions, what could be what could be driving them to risk such escalation? Is this part of a bigger trap to provoke India into rushing into a quick military reaction? Um, and do you believe that such a smooth, coordinated attack could happen without some form of local support? These are very interesting questions. So, first of all, let's take the question of whether uh, it's the Pakistan army that orchestrated this attack, or maybe, like they say, it is a homegrown thing or whatever. Look, if you look at the operational fingerprints of what happened, they point in one direction, unmistakably towards Rawalpindi, Pakistan. The Pakistanis will keep on denying it. Okay, uh, some new organization, terror organization, TRA for something, seems to have taken credit for what happened. Look, this whatever this organization is, it's not some kind of local autonomous terrorist cell or whatever. It is a disposable alias of LET, Lashkar e whatever that thing is, right? And Lashkar e whatever LET is an extension of the ISI. Okay, and these various disposable aliases that these people use, a new organization exists for 3 months here and 3 months there and 6 months here and 6 months there. These are used that's a very old tactic they've been using. In the 1990s, there was something called Harkat ul Ansar or something. Every time they come up with a new name, which is nothing but a disposable alias. It's a disposable mask that the LET wears, and the LET itself is a mask of the ISI. Okay, so it's clear, and the ISI, it uses these disposable masks to launder these terror attacks and claim that they are indigenous. Okay, but we know that there's I mean, Indian intelligence, US intelligence, everyone knows that there's clear connections of funding networks that connect the ISI with the LET, with all these various all these organizations. There are various so-called charities in Lahore and whatnot that do the dirty work, the funding, the funneling of money and whatnot, and so on. So there's no question that all the operational uh, fingerprints point in the direction of the ISI. Now, like I said some time ago, what's the objective? They want to internationalize the Kashmir matter. They want to claim that Kashmir is not settled, it is still a dispute, and so on. And no matter what India does by abrogating Article 370, by ending Article 370 and normalizing the situation, it still doesn't matter. Kashmir is still a dispute. They want to internationalize the matter. That's number one. Secondly, they want to send a message to Washington, like I said, that Pakistan matters, and Pakistan is the entity that will manage this region, and no matter how much you invest in India, there's always going to be a liability in Kashmir, and Pakistan is needed to manage it, that sort of thing. um, that's the kind of message they are sending to the world, to the US, and so on. Now the question once again that's being asked is whether there is any external factor. Is there any outside hand in this? Is there a third power, fourth power perhaps involved in this? So look, there's no conclusive evidence that we have that any other power is involved beyond Pakistan. Conclusive evidence doesn't exist. But where does the incentive lie? The incentive structure, it aligns, it doesn't align with the US geopolitical interest. I'll tell you that. Okay. The incentive for what happened here, it aligns very neatly with Beijing's interests. So at the time that this terror attack happened, there was a concurrent, at the same time there was a military exercise that was going on in Pakistan occupied Kashmir, with with the involvement of Pakistani forces and Chinese forces. Okay, military exercise. And uh, and we know that China is facing the US pressure, and India and the US are cooperating in the field of semiconductors and whatnot. And this was recently announced during JD Vance's trip to India, right? So it really helps China if things don't keep going wrong in India. There's terror attacks and whatnot. So the incentive is there, but there is no clear evidence. And and let's say there are tensions in the Kashmir region. There's a flare up of violence. Maybe there are surgical strikes. Maybe there is a short, sharp war or whatever. So if that happens, you're going to have a large number of Indian forces pinned to the western front of India, right? You if in case that happens, that indirectly eases pressure on the LAC, line of actual control, where you have a huge buildup of armed forces on both sides, India and China. In recent times, past year or so, India and China have been slowly bringing the tension down, the tensions down. But if China feels that India is aligning with the US and there's no point uh, uh, being nice with India, then they could do such things. So if there's a flare up on the western border on India's western border, then it eases the pressure on the LAC with Tibet, the line of actual control with Tibet, and there are connections between China and Pakistan. You know, there is this. They have been constructing fiber links between Pakistan occupied Kashmir and Xinjiang, part of China. So you can see that there are cross connections between the PLA and the ISI. So there are these circumstantial pieces of evidence, but there is no clear, unambiguous evidence that points in a third power's direction. Right now, the question that's also being asked is, why does Pakistan do such things? Why? What is it that drives Pakistan to risk this sort of explanation, to this sort of escalation? Right. So look, there are domestic factors first of all. The Pakistani economy is constantly collapsing. Uh, the IMF bailout is not happening. It is under negotiation, and there are civilian protests that happen. There's the Balochistan issue. The army's domestic aura has been eroded, so they need some kind of external factor to get the people to rally around the army again. Right? Makes sense, right? And the Pakistan army, it obviously calculates that their nuclear shield gives them protection against India, and it will also, this nuclear shield and the nuclear matter will also ensure that great powers like the US will immediately step in and mediate and prevent India from taking things beyond a surgical level or a symbolic level, like Balakot, etc. Yeah. um, and by demonstrating that they can disrupt tourism and destabilize Kashmir at will, uh, they probably want to get some concessions from India, uh, but they've done the opposite. Indus Waters Treaty is gone, and so on. Now, what Pranay asks is that is this a trap? Is this part of a bigger trap to provoke India into something stupid? Yeah, it could be. It could be. India will have to calibrate and calculate whatever response it takes. Some response will happen. Some response has already happened. We've expelled a significant amount of the number of Pakistani diplomats or military attaches or whatever, and we've brought our people back as well from our embassy there. And the Indus Waters Treaty has been abrogated, whatever, put in abeyance, etc. But there could be more coming up. There could be more coming up. If India doesn't plan things properly and just gets angry and acts in anger, doesn't a ground incursion of Pakistan, or maybe tries to take POK back, then it will give Pakistan grounds to play the victim. And that then they will obviously this will also give China the opportunity to give diplomatic shielding to Pakistan. So Pakistan gets to posture as a besieged victim. So India is going to have to calculate things properly and do it the right way. Now, the last question that Pranay asks is that, could this have happened without local support? Yeah. Could this have happened without local support? Pakistan, I don't think I have to show anyone the map in this matter. We all know the map between India and Pakistan, the border region. Pakistan has a long border with India. Most of it is not disputed or held. Indian territory not held by Pakistan, most of it, right? We have a long border in Rajasthan. We were a long border in Gujarat. Yes. So how come there's no terrorism in Rajasthan or Gujarat? Because there's no local support. People will say there's desert and all that. These people live in deserts. They can deal with deserts. Okay, these are desert people. Uh, There's no local support in Rajasthan or Gujarat. Look, what happened in Pahalgam, this massacre, it to make it happen, you know what the terrorists needed? They needed advanced reconnaissance of the flow of tourists flows. They needed to have a clear day by day granular understanding of tourist flows. What day, how many tourists come? When does the tourist season start? Where do they come from? Which operators bring tourists to what spots? What if someday the weather is bad? What happens, and so on and so forth. So you need advanced reconnaissance of tourist flows. You need covert safe houses in the area around Pahalgam, and you need uh, the facility of instantaneous exfiltration. Immediately get the terrorists out so that they cannot be captured. So you need granular situational awareness, and this is not possible without what they call OGWs. What's an OGW? It's an overground worker. You see, in this field of terrorism or whatever you want to call it, there are two kinds of operators. There is overground workers and there is underground workers. Underground workers are the guys who are hidden and they come out only with the AK-47s or whatever. Okay, who are the overground workers? The overground workers are your local transportation people. They are your hotel people. Hello, sir. Is everything fine today, sir? Do you need something, sir? The hotel folks. So you have people who work in hotels, people who, let's say, the hotel networks. You have transport unions. You have your taxi drivers. The tour operator network. All that stuff. This is you. If you are a terrorist and you wanna, target tourists who come into Kashmir, you need overground workers in these networks. Okay, so it's a given that this was there. And after the Pahalgam attack happened, uh, our security agencies have already rounded up more than a dozen such facilitators or overground workers who have been, playing this role. So there is this infiltration of the overground, of all these networks by the ISI LET, combination, and that's how they have been so successful in Kashmir. So Kashmir, after the removal of Article 370, I mean, what has changed in Kashmir after that? Yeah, tourism has started booming again. This is what happens when you go and spend your money in Kashmir. This is what you get in recompense for that. Yeah, you think everything has changed? Things don't change until you change things at a very fundamental level. You have to start with changing the education system and the schooling system and all that, but that the government will not do. Right? Societies change slowly. Just because something, a few cosmetic changes were done, doesn't mean that whole society will change. They are the same people. To change society, you have to change it at a very fundamental level, which is why I keep harping on about the education system and other things. So that's not happened, and Kashmir, the population of Kashmir is the same, right? So this is what you get by giving them tourism revenue. So look, bottom line, this is an ISI operation, very calibrated ISI operation. It is timed to coincide with the strategic momentum in India-US ties. It is timed to coincide with the visit of JD Vance to India. It is testing. It is a test. It is designed to test India. It is designed to test India's escalation discipline, and so on. And India's response must punish the perpetrators without giving Pakistan the international limelight they want. Understand that. So that's what India has to do. And there are lots of ways of strangulating Pakistan: gray zone strangulation, economic strangulation, water strangulation, so much that India can leverage. India is going to have to do it judiciously, carefully. The international opinion is with India. There's no question about that. So use that judiciously, and let's start the clock ticking on the temporary nation. This is the inflection point. This is no longer the same India that we had in 2019, where they did whatever else. This is a different India, and this time Pakistan must be made to pay.